everybody. Welcome to Why Would You Show Me This? I am Will.
And I'm Danny.
And this is Joe. Joe is Joe is a writer, musician, and my cousin. Thanks for coming on, Joe.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Joe brought the movie this week, and that was, I'm pretty sure, we've looked this up, pretty sure this is right, Synecdoche, New York.
Synecdoche.
Yeah.
Schenectady.
Schenectady?
That's what I say.
So Schenectady is the name of a town in New York, but Synecdoche is like, it's a pun.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Synecdoche basically means like using part of something to represent the whole, or using the whole to represent part of something. Which,
Okay.
like, thematically,
Yeah.
See how that kind of makes sense with the movie.
That makes sense.
So Joe is going to have a lot more interesting things to say about this movie than us, because Joe seems to know a lot more, and we're just fucking dumbfounded. But let's read the synopsis. All right. Oscar-winning writer Charlie Kaufman's directorial debut, Synecdoche, New York, one of the best films of the year by someone at the New York Times, follows the life of regional theater director Caden Cotard. What are you doing? As he struggles with romantic relationships, as well as the problems of aging and a mysteriously degenerative medical condition. He develops all this into a monumental theater piece, building a full-scale replica of New York City inside an impossibly large warehouse and populating it with thousands of actors. Cotard spends the remainder of his life creating a piece so personal and epic in scope that the line between reality and art collide, and the universe that he has created swallows up everything within it. Yes.
So it gets meta as fuck.
Meta as fuck. When we were watching it, near the end, like the last probably 40 minutes, I was just thinking about, you ever sat in class and then you just kept on folding a piece of paper as much as you could until it was very tiny? That's what the movie reminded me of.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I kind of don't think that's a great description of the movie on the back of the box.
Oh, no?
Because it doesn't really get more personal. Like, I feel like he gets lost as he is, like, the way I look at it, I mean, this is not a plotty movie at all, so I figure we're probably just going to jump around, but
yeah.
His goal, as he says it, is to, like, create, basically what it says on the back of the box. That's what he wants to do, but I feel like he does the opposite. Like, he wants to capture, like, all of life in this theater piece, but by the end, they're, like, scripting things. Like, there's a scene towards the end where I think, the actress that plays Hazel is arguing with actual Hazel.
Yes,
the actress wants to, like, script a scene and, like, try it out. So, like, over the course of the thing, this thing becomes, like, much less honest, like, as he's trying to, encompass everything about life. Like, I don't know, that description on the back of the box kind of makes it sound a little more whimsical and, like, fantasy than it really ends up being.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not whimsical.
You subscribe to this movie.
Yeah, whimsical is definitely not a word to describe this movie at
No.
all. It just like every time.
Maybe whimsically bleak.
Whimsically bleak. That should have been right on the front of the cover. I just feel like every time I watch one of his movies now, I'm just like, man, I hope you get happy one of these days.
Would his stuff be as good?
I don't know, it wouldn't, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth him to be happy and not make good art anymore. Because it just seems like he's a sad bastard. It just...
Von Trier, right? Like, Von Trier makes good movies because he explores his, like, depression. Like, very... Like, I'm not a huge fan of Antichrist, which I know you guys covered. I love Melancholia. I love Dancer in the Dark. Like, I like him as a filmmaker, but he works as a filmmaker because of that stuff. And I think Charlie Kaufman, without his, like, anxiety and, like, super weird, like, in his head shit, is not Charlie Kaufman. Like, he's, Charlie Kaufman that wrote, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind? Is that movie? About,
he wrote that?
I believe so.
Oh! That doesn't seem like it's something he would have written at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm interested as to what y'all thought about the movie, because like I have my own thoughts, but I've seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So like, I know Danny, this is your first watch, and this is essentially your first watch in what years? Will?
At least since 9 years, at least. Yeah. Because this came out, 2010, right?
2008.
2008. So yeah, it's been at least 9-10 years since I saw it.
Yeah. I'm interested what you guys thought.
I mean, I feel like we should go to Danny first because it is your first watch.
Right.
So what were some of your thoughts? Go to the notebook.
Okay. I always do that. First.
I took notes too.
We all did. Yay! This is what we do now. Notes.
Changing your whole shit up.
Yeah, that's the thumbnail. Everybody holding up their notebook. Joe's new school.
Yep. The very first thing that I wrote in my notebook was end of life motif.
End of life motif? Yeah. It's a lot of that in the movie.
And the second thing that I wrote was the kid was annoying right away. And the first thing I thought were the kid's sitting on the toilet and the mom's like wiping her ass. Like, here's the thing. I don't really have any conscious memories of any one of my parents wiping me. And I think that's a good thing. You know what I mean? And the first thought I was just like, that kid is way too old to have her mom wipe her ass. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know there's much more to the movie, but
yeah.
That's just what struck
really
me.
Diving in deep.
I'm sorry. One of the things I wrote was life of regret, hates his life. There's probably a lot of that I wrote.
Well, that's just... let's talk about that for a second, because that's exactly what I feel the movie is. I feel that it is the biography of a man who's scared that he hasn't lived his life. That he's just put so much of himself into his work that he's ruined everything else in his life and has not lived to the fullest whatsoever. That's basically what I came away with.
I would agree with that. I mean, there's a super long video series that what the hell's it called? Your Movie Sucks, the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Has done on this movie. It's like 6 or 7 parts long.
Jesus.
I love that, but there's one thing that he describes this movie as being about dying before you finish your life's work, which I really think is, like, to me this movie is about, like, legacy. It's about him trying to leave something behind.
Yeah.
And it's very much, I mean, you can kind of tackle a lot of this movie just by looking at the women that are in Caden's life, because you've got Adele at the beginning who, like, doesn't give a fuck about him, like, doesn't care about his work, doesn't support him, like, actively kind of belittles him when he's doing the production of Death of a Salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she bails on the opening night, and then when she does go see it later on, like, all she's got to say is, like, I can't get excited about you restaging someone else's, old work.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of feel like Claire, the blonde, is just a reaction to Adele. Like, she's kind of everything that Adele is not. She just builds on him. She thinks he's a genius, but she ultimately, he doesn't ultimately want that, so that relationship doesn't work out because, like, I think he wants to, I don't know, maybe because it's too easy, or he just doesn't feel like it's real. So they're kind of the two opposite sides of the coin. And then Hazel, I feel like, is kind of the key to this whole movie. Like, his whole story is about Hazel. Like, there's the one night where, like, they almost get together. It doesn't work out because he's still fucked up over Adele. And then it's 20 years later they have that, like, one night which he ultimately decides, like, that's going to be the play, because that's what's important to him, is the night, like, right before she dies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting a little choked up. I love this movie. Like,
Joe.
I have a different relationship with it now, I think, than I would have 10 years ago, but, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to ramble this whole time.
No, I think because it does hit differently 10 years later, when you're older, you've lived life, you understand maybe some things about fucking up in certain situations in your life, and looking back on those things and wishing they were different. I think this is a movie that you definitely, depending on what part, when you watch it, if you watch it young, I don't think you really understand it because you haven't lived enough to really get it. But yeah, I definitely see how because it hit different for me too. Even though I don't fully get all of it, I think I understand a little bit what he was trying to say. Sorry, I kind of cut into your notes.
No, it's fine. I will point out that I do kind of think that Charlie Kaufman has a tendency to direct films with men who get together with women who in reality would never fucking get together with them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just so often that I see, also in this movie, because I'm just like, what is the appeal?
Well, I feel that Kaufman is, writing his dreams into his screenplays.
Right.
There's just, if you look at all of the movies he's written and the way that the women interact with the main male character, it's so unrealistic.
It is.
I think for depending, for that person to be with this person, it just doesn't jive, and I think that's him. This is what I wish would happen in real life.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah,
it's like a weird. It's kind of a weird sister piece to I'm Thinking of Ending Things in that way.
Yeah,
the whole movie is about this guy just having this fantasy about what this relationship would have been like, and this movie he is essentially trying to script this relationship to be what he wants, which I don't think he ultimately has any fucking idea what he wants out of a relationship, and that's why none of them work out. But yeah, it's I think those two movies are very thematically linked to me.
Yeah,
and I love I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
I noticed because we watched I'm Thinking of Ending Things recently, and he name drops Oklahoma in this film, and I'm like, okay, I see the connection there. I don't know what that fucking connection is, other than Kaufman stage plays. But
apparently,
it just made my mind go, oh, okay, Oklahoma.
Let's see. I noticed a lot in the film, which I liked, is that he checks obituaries a bunch. I don't know necessarily what it means. I think
he just has an obsession with death.
I know he does, and I feel like maybe he's trying to check to see if if they maybe died unfulfilled, like he thinks he's going to. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm reaching. I have no idea.
Hey, I think anything goes with this movie. Whatever you feel, it's true.
It's an obsession with death. That's what I would definitely say. I mean it's easy to miss in the beginning, but that first scene where it's the breakfast or whatever, it takes place over the course of a year. Every time he looks at a newspaper, it's got a different date, and then he looks at he says, it's the 17th of October, and then he takes a drink of the milk, and the milk expired on the 30th of October, and it's gone bad. This whole all that time slipping away.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird. I kind of don't think this movie makes sense, logically. I think if you try and and I think a lot of Charlie Kaufman's movies are like that, where if you try and track them logically, it falls the fuck apart. It's nonsense. But if it's like a tone piece. He is exploring a feeling, and I think this movie, I don't know what it is, but this movie touches some kind of emotion that in a way that no other movie for me at least does, and that's why I love this movie, because it doesn't make a ton of sense.
No.
It's kind of fucking boring for the first 40 minutes. It's so slow. I noticed that last night, but as just a tone piece, I think it works. And I'll ramble all fucking night, so definitely stop me.
No, man.
I want to hear the rest of Dani's movie.
It's nice to have you, because how many times have you seen it now?
Oh man, it's so I was I would have been in the Air Force when I bought this movie. As I mean, you introduced me to Kaufman when I was like 15, maybe 17, somewhere in there with Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Like I still love that movie. Maybe a little less. It's kind of in the not as much, but like the way I feel about Garden State now.
Oh yeah.
Or like Garden State's kind of hard to watch for me now.
That's
like,
like
I don't know about that. That movie's kind of up its own ass. But, yeah, it would have been like '09, maybe early 2010.
Okay.
I just like randomly found this movie. It's like, hey, I like Eternal Sunshine. I did not like this movie at all the first time I watched it. Like, this is nonsense. Like, don't let Charlie Kaufman ever direct another fucking movie. Like, stick to writing, all that. But, like, because I owned it, I just have watched it over the years and slowly, I don't know, just developed this appreciation for it.
Yeah.
But I think, like we were talking about earlier, like, you know, when I was 20 and fucking 2010, like maybe 19 even, if I had, like, bought it early in the year, you know, I was, like, a very different person. I was, like, just this fucking, like, really sad, like, lonely dude. Like, I was, you know, in Texas away from, like, my family and everything because I was in tech school, the airport.
Yeah.
Kind of the first time, like, I had been away from home. So, like, I think that kind of, I don't know, those themes of, like, loneliness and shit, like, very much spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm 30 now. Like, I got a wife. Like, I don't feel at all the same way I did at that point. So this movie, like, feels very different to me at this point.
Yeah. Do you feel like you connect with it less now?
I do, in a way. Like, I still emotionally think this movie works, but I also just know more about, like, you know, since then, like, I went to school for film. Like, I've studied about shit, and Charlie Kaufman, or because, like, Caden is kind of like a stand-in for him at points. And if you remember the episode of Community where Abed is making the movie about Jesus and decides to become Jesus?
Yeah.
It's just the most pretentious shit ever. I was watching the movie last night. I was like, this is exactly, like, that's what he seems like when he's, like, running around. Like, it's not a play about death, it's a play about everything.
Yeah.
Like, but, like, I like this movie. I don't think I love it anymore. I still do think it connects in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man.
I feel that somebody needs to be there to tell him no. And that's what was missing from this movie. Someone was like, you know what? Eternal Sunshine did amazing. Adaption did amazing. Make your movie. And too much freedom. It was just too much. He went so fucking far into his own psyche that the audience is like, what's happening? Like, what's going on?
I think Michel Gondry deserves a lot of credit for, like, how good Eternal Sunshine is.
He really does.
Kaufman, like, definitely does, but, like, Michel Gondry's, like, the, like, secret sauce that makes that movie work.
Yeah.
Like, the whole, like, dream-like atmosphere, which Kaufman tries to do here, and I think, like, especially with the way it's cut.
Oh,
it's so, like, nonsensical, and I think I read last night there's twice as many scenes in this movie as, like, the average number for, like, a movie of this length.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just constantly, like, cutting. And
to entirely new places in time. It's like it's 10 years now, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But oh shit, I was just gonna say something. Oh, the burning house. What do you take from that? I was trying to figure that out, and I just don't understand. I think I have a theory on it, but I don't quite get it.
So I think, you know, in the scene where Hazel, like, dies, or the scene before, she says the end is built into the beginning. Like, and I think that's what that's about. Like, anytime if you buy a house, like, that might be the house that you die in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, that could be, and I think, I don't know, it's this idea of, like, settling down. Like, when Hazel is buying that house, like, she sees it as maybe, like, her life not being over, but, like, a certain part of her life being over. Like, you know, it's just going to be this. for the rest of my life. Which it's super weird because like her life changes so much from that, still in that same house 20 years later.
Yeah.
But that's what I took that as. It's that idea. The end is built into the beginning. Like you buy a house, that might be the house you die at.
Yeah. So, okay.
I like that theory.
I do. Yeah, I like it too. I mean, it's better than the one I came up with.
What was yours?
Mine was that because she is buying the house at the same time that she's trying to get with Caden, and to me, I was like, oh, does that represent bad choices? Does this represent that she makes bad choices in her life? By buying a house on fire, it's a terrible fucking choice. Just like going after Caden. That's kind of what I thought. But I don't know if that really holds true with the end of the movie and everything.
Well, I don't know. I also think it's some goofy Charlie Kaufman shit.
Yeah.
Like, he said, like, I'm a little concerned about dying in the fire. And the real estate agent's like, it's a big choice how you decide to die. Like, okay. Like, all right. Okay, Charlie. I think it's a metaphor that is maybe a little up its own ass.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What you got, Danny?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember I asked this question out loud when we were watching it. I asked him, like, am I the only person who doesn't give a fuck about being remembered after they die?
You might be one of the few.
And I'm wondering also if that's like a gender thing, if men are just much more concerned with that when it comes to also like being fathers.
Yeah,
and, like,
having their lineage.
Yeah, and that whole thing, and how women don't. I mean, I'm not speaking for all women, but how women, I feel like, don't necessarily identify with that feeling as much as men do, maybe. Like, because I really don't give a shit about being remembered. Like, I told Will, I was like, I take solace in the fact that I don't matter in the grand scheme of things. I like that. So, as much as I appreciate it in the movie, it's hard for me to relate to it because I don't feel that way. But I can appreciate that feeling in the movie and how it's portrayed.
Yeah, it definitely it's the thing about the movie is it's so important to him that he neglects everything else. I mean,
so much so that he neglects his children.
Yeah,
which truthfully are his future.
Yeah.
And and which is funny because a lot of men do that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of men artists do that.
Yeah, where they're so concerned with their like legacy when really their legacy is their children, and they don't pay attention to them when they should. Yeah, when that's their true legacy.
Mm-hmm. Does Charlie Kaufman have children? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
Watch him respond.
I know. Charlie Kaufman's like, I have a wife and kids. Fuck y'all.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be.
Be like, awesome. I'm happy you finally got there.
Thanks for knowing I exist now.
Yeah, right. And also thanks for listening to our shitty little podcast.
Mm-hmm. I heard my name. I hear every time someone says my name, I hear it.
Yeah. Anytime someone talks about my movies.
I think like tying it to the idea of fatherhood, it makes a lot of sense. Like I don't know, it's kind of like that idea of like being, what being like a conqueror would have been, thousands of years ago or whatever. Like that's how there aren't things left to conquer, but like I don't know, it's just wanting to be important. I think. Yes. Like you
want to be special.
If people remember you, you matter, and if people don't remember you, you don't. At least like that's the idea. I don't know. I'm a fucking musician and a writer and everything. My whole goddamn life is just about like, please notice me, please. So like,
yeah. I feel like that's all. I feel like all artists kind of have that same thing. I mean, I think that's the reason that we're doing art is because we want to leave something behind that is like a part of us in some way.
Oh no, I am a hypocrite. Oh no.
See? Oh, you've just realized that you do want to leave yourself.
Yeah, because the thing is I told Will about this whole thing that I had at a performance where it really emotionally struck me. And that was when I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. You know, I want to leave a lasting memory. So that's bullshit, man.
Hypocrite.
Damn it. Damn it. But I'm fine with that memory dying with that person. Like, I don't need to be remembered after that. If that makes any difference.
Don't film it. Just keep the memory.
Yes, I'm good with that.
There you go.
Do you have more notes?
You go for it.
Huh? Okay. What have we not talked? Oh, this is really funny. The movie's really funny.
It is funny.
I've laughed a lot.
I do like the tone of the movie.
It's got a very comedic tone. Like it is bleak.
Although
but
you hate everyone except for like the main guy. Like everyone else is horrible. Like his wife is horrible. His therapist is horrible.
Yeah, but I think that's because really, I think that is to show that he is putting all the blame on everyone else.
Yeah.
He's not taking any of the blame for his own life and what he's done and his choices that he's made.
That makes sense.
But one of my favorite fucking jokes that I love so much. Danny didn't think it was a joke, but I think it's a joke. When he is talking to Adele about coming to his to his play, and she's like, "I'm not going to be able to make it," and she says, "I have 2 canvases that I have to ship, and they're tiny." And it cuts to that fucking shot of just the tiny canvases, and I'm pretty sure that is a joke, and it made me laugh so hard. I love that so much.
I would agree with that. Like this, it's definitely funnier than like, I don't know, are any of his damn movies funny? Like Eternal Sunshine's not funny. It's like specifically like
Adaptation's pretty funny. I think there's parts in that that's really funny.
True, yeah.
Try to think of everything else, because I know he's only directed this, and I'm thinking of any things and the animated one.
Anomalisa.
Yes, which is also bleak and depressing as fuck.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Did
one.
we watch
I probably would not watch that one again.
No, I mean that one feels. I mean, it feels even worse than this.
Yeah.
Like it didn't get any better.
And you watched Belladonna of Sadness.
Belladonna of Sadness is great.
It's great, but
It's not
bleak.
It's bleak, but it's great.
Horrible.
It was a
Sorry, a whole other thing.
Yes, a whole other thing. But Belladonna of Sadness is great. It is a groundbreaking animated film, I would say. Let's see. I put terrible, unsupportive wife. We talked about that.
We were very upset by that. Like we were.
Yeah, we were both like, "Fuck you!" Like you just sat here and got fucking high with your friend.
We were so struck by her just like, you know, not so much like, hey, not going to his thing and then going to his thing, but just struck by how horrible she was, like talking to him as they were leaving, and I was just like, what is happening?
Yep.
Like I can't like, and he doesn't and it's frustrating because he doesn't respond in the way that you think like a normal person would respond to that. Like he just takes it and then just like digests it, and then it just feeds his doubt.
The sad thing to me is that he never gives Adele shit, not once in the entire movie, and she's the one that deserves it the most. I feel, but he does like hurt the other women. Like he hurts Hazel. Mm-hmm. And I think he ultimately hurts actor Hazel. I'm pretty sure she's not fond of him at the end of the movie. But Adele gets off scot-free. I guess not, because she dies of lung cancer. But...
but she gets to be, like, amazingly famous and, like, take care of their kid, or not.
Not really,
basically. That whole story arc is fucking horrible.
It really is.
But here's the thing. And it's horrible and absurd. It's that conversation that they have on her, like, and we're going real far now, but on her deathbed, I can't, I couldn't even, like, I just couldn't, I couldn't believe what I was reading. Yeah. And I know that actress from other stuff, so that was also kind of amazing in and of itself. I didn't know she could speak that. Mm-hmm. But it's just, the fact that, and this is the thing I also like, I think this also shows the duality of what happens when one parent raises the kid and kind of skews their view completely, so much so that is all they believe, despite being told otherwise, or the truth, or, you know, whatever, and just wholeheartedly believing that because that's what they were raised with, and that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, once you believe that somebody like has betrayed you or
Yes.
is like a liar, then you're never going to believe them when they tell you they're not a liar.
Yeah.
And I never caught this before. I don't think that she did the whole thing, you know, about him like abandoning them to be with his homosexual
Yes!
lover Eric,
Yeah.
Oh my
and
god!
then later on when like it's I don't know like the last 15 minutes of the movie or whatever where he's like having the dream as Ellen. Her
There's an
husband
Eric.
is named Eric. And I was
Thank
like, that
you.
means something probably.
That was so weird.
Fucking what?
Yeah.
Thank you. I noticed that too. I said, why is there an actor playing Eric? Like, what is happening right now?
You know, it's funny, the whole Ellen thing, like,
it's weird.
Once there's an actress playing Ellen, like, all of the stuff in between Ellen and his ear and him doing everything, I kind of feel that's the most powerful part of the movie. I really do. It's like a weird, almost like...
I think the last bit.
He's talking to himself, but it's almost also like God talking to him in a way. Like, kind of feels like that. I don't know. I just really like that.
It's very...
I have a theory about that, but go ahead, Dan.
Oh, no. I felt it was very Truman Show for
that too,
for
yeah.
that moment. You know what I mean? Like when Truman's talking to, what's his name? You know, who's running the show and all that stuff. That's kind of what it reminded me of a little bit. Go ahead, Joe.
So the way I took it, and I didn't really notice this until like the last night's watch. Like I said, this movie hits different at different points in your life, but I think because when he goes to like see Hazel at her like house, she's with her husband, and he asks her, well, like okay, so in the beginning, like their first real interaction is her basically telling him what to say to her to flirt with her.
Yeah.
And like then at that scene later on, he asks her to tell him what to do again. Like, you know, he wants a script for because I think it's like he doesn't know how to be like whatever he feels like he's supposed to be as a person. And he talks about he thinks he might have been better as a woman. I think that's partly, you know, where that Ellen thing comes. But the earpiece, that is like it's stage directions. I think like it's basically he's just stopped thinking for himself. Like he's just following the script that's coming from whatever the character Millicent Weaves.
Yeah, I can't believe you pulled that name out of your ass.
Yeah, like it's I don't know. His whole idea is to like make this whole thing to capture like what life is and all this shit, but ultimately like what he wants is to like be in this play where he like doesn't have to think for himself and he just follows directions and then he is like who he is supposed to be without having to worry about like if he's doing it right, if he's leaving anything behind. Like he's just empty at that point. Like I don't know. I would agree that is like the most that sequence might be why I always come away from the movie being like, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
When, for like at least the first half of the movie, I'm like, God, when did somebody throw a fucking pie? Anything gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like, and it takes so much longer to get to the warehouse than I think it will. It's like an hour in or something.
Yeah.
And it's 2-hour fucking movie.
Yep. You know what? I remembered this movie being 3 hours. Like, I thought it was a 3-hour movie. And I think it just feels it feels long.
By the way, the thing that me and Will definitely agreed on is that Tom Noonan.
Is a treasure.
Is a treasure and needs to be in more shit.
Tom Noonan should be in everything.
Yes.
I love him so much.
I don't want to fucking forget to talk about him because he's in the first damn scene of this movie.
The first scene?
Yeah, he's when Caden goes out to get his mail in like the first scene, he's there hiding behind a tree.
Holy shit.
Like he's like a character outside of like Caden's story, I think. Like he is a character of I don't know how to explain it, but like he you know, when he finally does say something because he's going to play Caden in this big dumbass play, like he's like, I've been watching you for 20 years, but I know you better than yourself. And like, I don't know what that is. Like it seems like some weird meta thing. Like he's he's a character of a story like one level higher than like the story that we are seeing.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh no.
could he represent the audience? I don't know. I don't know, because it's just so like with what you were saying about at the end of the movie, he is just basically in the script. He doesn't have a life anymore. He's in the script. I think a lot of this movie is losing yourself to work.
Maybe he's his id.
He's his id.
Yeah, do you know what an id is?
I know what it's like, the inner part.
It's kind of like an inner like darkness almost.
Okay.
Right, Joe?
It's like the ego and the super ego.
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
never remember which is which.
Right, and
but I believe that's right. It's like the animal kind of base lizard brain part of it.
And that's what I think he kind of represents. In a
he
weird
does
way.
try to get with Hazel. He gets farther with Hazel than
real.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's, he doesn't have to think about it. Like if he is the id, like he doesn't get in his own head because he presumably like doesn't have those thoughts. Like he wants Hazel, so he goes after Hazel.
Yeah.
I think he is partially an idealized version of like who Caden wishes that he was.
Mm-hmm. So does Caden wish that he killed himself that day? Like, is that what that means? That because I mean,
he protests it when it happens. Remember? Like,
he's like, I didn't jump.
Like he doesn't even care that he's actually dead.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't even affect his reality anymore.
No.
Like he's so far removed from it that
he's just a character to
exactly.
him, I think.
Yeah. And so that's also to show how far removed he is from everything.
Yeah.
I think. Because that moment did strike me where I'm like, dude, he's really dead. Like, he's dead, and he doesn't
give a shit. He doesn't care.
And just tells him to get up.
Like, I know.
Do another take.
Yeah.
Like, what did y'all make of the funeral? Like that whole speech?
Oh my goodness! It being done.
That always seemed to me like something that that's. I don't know. I think the core message of like whatever Charlie Kaufman is trying to say with this movie is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how that's always come off to me, but I don't feel like I've ever been able to really grasp it. Like,
yeah, you're talking about when
the
priest, right? When the priest is giving that long monologue. Yeah, it feels very important, I mean, he lingers on it, and I think any time why can't I remember his name? What's his name?
Philip Seymour Hoffman?
No, is that Caden. Anytime Caden like is really moved by something or likes a character or something, I feel like that is significant to the story.
Yeah.
But fuck if I could tell you what it's supposed to mean. I mean, I know it's significant, but I don't know to what. The end of it almost feels like, because he starts saying fucking like every other word, and I'm just it's just like, is this supposed to be funny?
I think it's supposed to be just angry.
Angry? It could be. Yeah, it could just be anger. He doesn't play it as anger though. It's more sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, but I definitely that scene is what gave me the whole folding in on itself thing, because that was like the third or fourth time they did that, and I was just like, God damn, my mind can't take a lot.
Like, it is. By that point, it's not just like a recreation, on a smaller scale of like what the funeral actually was. It is, maybe that's what it is. It's that speech is kind of, it's starting to fold in like the way that Caden feels about things. Because I mean, he talks about regret. Like that's, I think, the main thesis of that speech.
Yeah.
And that like he made this. I don't know, like I talked about earlier, he made this mistake with Hazel like 20 years ago, never forgot about it. And his whole life has been just kind of trying to get back to that moment, or like get, I don't know, make Hazel like look at him the way she used to.
Yeah.
So I think maybe because, and you bringing up the fact that like they did, they fold in the funeral over and over, kind of makes me think like it is different there, and he is bringing in that whole speech. So I think that's maybe it's just like Caden's, thoughts or whatever, his loneliness, his regrets, like infecting this story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he can't, this play can't be about like what life is because he's involved with it. Like everybody has their own perspective, so nobody could ever tell the story of like what life as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds good anyway.
Works for me, man.
Me too.
I feel like we could do a fucking podcast with like worst idea of all time. We just watch this fucking movie every week.
Oh God. I mean, would we last?
There you go, man.
I feel like this is a movie you can only watch so many times in your life before you're like, fuck. Like before your life just turns dark.
Well, I feel
just
like
goes all dark.
Well, this is definitely one of those movies. I feel like we've all had these movies where we've watched a movie where we're younger and it doesn't hit us because we're young.
Yeah.
We haven't really experienced the things that are in the movie. And then once we watch that movie after we have, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And I think the one for me that happened with was Closer.
Oh, Closer, yeah. Fucking hell, that hits hard once you've been through a few relationships.
Once you've been through some shit and you watch that movie, it's like completely different. Like, I remember my mom was like, "You're watching this, because you like it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a good movie." And my mom's just like, "Yeah, just wait.
Wait till you grow up."
Yeah, that's right. She's like, "Just you wait. You're gonna enjoy this movie for much longer."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I feel like this is one of those movies for sure where you watch this when you're younger and you're just like, "Oh, it's just about." Some old guy,
Yeah.
and then you watch it when you're older, and you're just like, no, I get this.
I feel it's like the closer you are to death, the more this movie will hit you. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Completely off the. I mean, since you said it, I might as well. A movie does that for me as well as Eyes Wide Shut. I feel like that is a movie that I think I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now, and it just gets better every time I watch it. I don't know why, but I just like it more and more. I find more to like about it every time I watch it. I know.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I really don't know if I like it. I don't know what I think of it, truthfully.
Joe, do you have anything besides this one that's like that?
Yeah, Spirited Away is very much that kind of movie for me, and we talked about it a little bit, in our lives. But like, I don't probably, I don't know, it was like 12 years ago, maybe not that much. I don't know. Like a long time ago, I was still living in Nashville, and they showed that at the Belcourt Theater there. It's like a little art house theater I fucking love, and I fell asleep during it. Like I had never seen it. I knew it was like supposed to be very good. Couldn't get into it. This past year, I like watched it again. It's actually I watched it because of the podcast Blank Check, which I've told you about, which is like movie podcast. They were doing Miyazaki movies. They did like a 2.5-hour episode, like it's longer than the fucking movie, on Spirited Away, where they like really go into it. And one of the things that one of the hosts, Griffin Newman, says about that movie and about all movies is they are like movies are fixed. They don't change, but we change. We come to them at different points in our lives, and they mean different things to us. So like Spirited Away didn't connect with me at all the first time I saw it, and then I watched it like last summer, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is like the perfect movie. Like it's I don't know, nothing else captures that feeling of like what it's like. I don't know, like in your first job, like when you feel like so out of place and so like just completely in the way at first, and then you learn and you like become part of this system where you know how everything works and like all that, and it's like part of growing up. And I feel like Spirited Away captures that like better than any movie I could put that. But like that's the biggest one like that for me, where like just completely missed me the first time, and now like maybe my favorite movie.
Yeah, that's funny. That's
I had a period where I would just like watch that like I think every Saturday for like a month. I would go to Wingstop, I would get wings, and I would come home and I would watch Spirited Away.
That's awesome.
Could you recite the entire movie?
Yeah, like I was either like smoking weed and playing Call of Duty, or I was eating wings, playing or watching Spirited Away. That's a fucking thing to do.
Fuck yeah. Do we have any more to say about the movie?
I feel like we should talk about the end. The very end.
We kind of did. The whole, Ellen talking to him over the headset. That's pretty much the end.
But what about, well, I guess we did go over him not, like, finishing his life's work, and that was kind of...
Yeah, as soon as he got the correct idea that he thought, he died.
That's what I thought, too.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's how it works, isn't it?
Hopefully not, but...
I know. But, you know, but I liked the fact that he took comfort in, the woman, I guess, who played Ellen's mother.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought
in
that...
the commercial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like at the beginning of the movie, she's in that fucking like that scene that shows up in the dream sequence, like at the very ass end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like they show that picnic, and then Caden is in the background looking like a fucking goober.
Yeah, jumping up and down.
No, yeah.
Bill Seymour Hoffman was such a weird actor to me because he's like a great actor. When you see him in shit like this, or like Capote. And he's fucking amazing. And then you see him in, what's that? Along Came Polly?
Yeah!
Ben Stiller movie?
Dude. Oh my god, I still yell white chocolate because of that movie.
Chocolate!
White chocolate! Dude, he's just so great. It's, that's another reason why I really like this movie, even though it's confusing as fuck. He's great. I mean, you can't say that he's not great, even if you don't like the movie. He's great in it.
He is. All I could think of was Linkin Park. Damn.
Alright, I guess, do you have anything else to add, Joe?
No, over my notes, I mean, we basically covered everything. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, there's Adele's whole thing, like, the fact that his art, like, just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's the whole fucking warehouse where hers is getting, like, smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
There's probably something there, but I don't fucking know.
Like, yeah.
The whole relationship.
Yeah.
The whole relationship. The thing that struck me, the whole relationship between Olive and Maria.
Oh, that is a really weird thing.
Like, that was just disturbing and kind of unexpected. You know, I didn't really expect that to happen. I don't know.
I wonder if that's like his idea of like Maria corrupting his relationship with Adele, and then just like because he doesn't want to blame Adele for it.
Yeah.
For anything. Like, he never blames her for anything. So I think maybe that's just, like, him kind of pushing that onto Olive as well. Like, it's not Adele that made this choice or whatever. It's Maria, and she's evil. Like, what he calls her evil in that scene where Olive is dying. So I think that's what that is, or that's what I take it as, at least. Like, he's just placing that blame onto Maria. When in reality, like most likely, Olive just grew up like the way she grew up because she wasn't around. Like,
yeah, she's the child of two artists. She wasn't gonna be all there. Like,
yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we got to do the ratings now. Okay. Joe, what do you give it at this time in your life?
I would say like an 8 is where I would.
Okay.
Like, I don't love it as much as I used to. It's still a very important movie to me, and like I do think it is powerful in some ways, but I also think the pacing could use a lot of work. I think it's like there's some Charlie Kaufman shit in this movie, or like it's just so up its own ass at some points.
Yeah.
And like I like Charlie Kaufman a lot, but he is a dude that like if you let him will be very, very pretentious. That, like you said, like he needs an editor. Like I think a lot of his worst instincts for storytelling come through in this movie, as much as I do generally like it.
Definitely, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'd say 8. Yeah.
Okay. Dani?
The 8?
Really?
Yeah.
You were talking about how you hate this movie after we watched it.
No, but I don't hate it.
Oh.
I don't know.
Has it grown on you since the conversation?
I mean, a little bit. I don't know, my rating system is different than yours.
It's very true.
My rating system is very, very different.
It's very
than yours,
true.
So,
Okay.
don't question it.
Oh, I
Just
won't.
go with it.
8 out of 10, sure. I would give it, I would say a 7 out of 10. Go one lower than you guys, just because I really like it. The performances are great. I like the whole, like, generally what I get from it is a pay attention in your life. Don't be fucking buried in your work.
Mhm.
That's what I take away from it, and I like that. But like you said, Joe, he goes so far up his own ass, and he thinks he's so smart with with all of this stuff, and it's like, you are smart, but this is just too much. It's like It's funny because you thought the pacing in the beginning was bad. I think the pacing in the middle is bad. Because it's just so much of the same shit. It's so much of, here's it happening in life, here's it happening in the play, here's it happening in life, here's it happening in the play. It's just like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, that probably has some sort of significant meaning. It just I felt like it was a bit much. But there's still lots of stuff to like about this movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if you're confused as fuck at the end, there's still lots of stuff that you'll remember and think fondly of, I think.
In the words of Shirley from Community, some of us have to work in the morning.
Yes. It's a perfect quote to end on.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Awesome. Joe, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. This is fun as hell. Y'all need a guest on another movie? Fucking, I'm here, man. This is a ton of fun.
Fuck yeah, man. Maybe next time one of us will pick the movie for you.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm down. Oh, fucking, I haven't listened to the episode, but I watched a little bit of Happiness of the Katakuri's, and what the fuck?
Dude, it's so great, though. Movie. It's so good. That is completely different from this movie. That movie will make you feel happy at the end.
It will.
This, I don't feel like terrible, but it's bleak.
Yeah. Alright, y'all. It's about 1 a.m. here.
Holy shit. Alright, sorry for keeping you up late.
You're fine, man. This is awesome.
Awesome. Alright, well, guys, we'll see you next time. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.